So hey everyone, I'm Bob de Schutte. I'm a professor at Northeastern University and the owner of Lifelong Games, and I've been given the opportunity right now to present the Hidden Heroes Game Jam to you. Now, before I get started, I want to do a quick word about sponsors. So the Hidden Heroes Game Jam is kindly sponsored by AARP Games. In case you're unfamiliar with them, AARP is an interest group with 32 million members that addresses issues affecting older Americans, and they're currently making amazing contributions to make the world a more accepting place of play in later life through initiatives as this one. It's also sponsored by the names you can see on the screen, such as Northeastern University's College of Arts, Media and Design, Concordia University's Technoculture, Art and Games Research Center, the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada, Northeastern University's Institute for Health Equity and Social Justice Research, IndieCade, the Higher Education Video Game Alliance, also known as HEVGA, and Weaver. A big thank you to all of them for making this happen. And with that out of the way, let's start talking about what's actually happening here. So what is the Hidden Heroes Jam actually about? Well, in short, it's a celebration of those who have shaped us. It's a game jam for creators to share the never-before-told stories of older and extended family members, teachers, co-workers, mentors, friends, basically all the people whose wisdom have meaningfully impacted our lives. It's about the unsung stories of people that you care about and using games as a medium to let the rest of the world know about them. Now, this can take on many different shapes and forms. Maybe you'll end up making a game that's inspired by a grandparent who has persisted again and again and build a future for your entire family. Or it could be a game inspired by your parents as their love story is maybe more interesting than any romantic comedy. Or maybe this game shares the wisdom that you learned from an older family friend as their advice taken from their own struggles has helped you to find and accept yourself for who you are. To outsiders, these kinds of stories, these words of wisdom, these idiosyncrasies of the people that we are close with and love are often hidden. But in this game jam, you're going to get the opportunity to use them as an inspiration for your game, a game that should celebrate their meaningful contribution to your life and that shares such stories with the world. And I did this myself a few years ago, and I ended up making a game called Brukel, which was inspired by my, at the time, 92-year-old grandmother. Brukel has you visit the house she grew up in as you hear her talk about the significance of the items you find, and you'll hear the stories that defined my family back then. I ended up interviewing her for about 5 hours. She told me so many stories, and players get to interact with the stories by matching them to objects that they can photograph in the house. However, at the stroke of midnight, the game shifts its tone and it turns into a ghost story. And in this part of the game, the camera mechanics make room for horror game mechanics as my grandmother's World War II stories come back to life, and the player has to relive them from her perspective at the time, the perspective of a 14-year-old girl. It turns into an atmospheric, suspenseful experience, and it's all narrated by a 92-year-old in her own voice. Now, creating that game with her, sharing that story with the world, I would say it's been one of the most meaningful experiences of my own life. And being part of this game jam, I hope you will get to have an experience like that as well. Now, Brukel is obviously a close to direct adaptation of the stories of my grandmother, my hidden hero, but the Hidden Heroes Jam doesn't really require you to make a narrative-heavy simulation or documentary game. Any genre of game is allowed here, and we're hoping to see a lot of games that are creative and unique in how they relate the hidden heroes to game mechanics. Maybe your game ends up being a post-apocalyptic rhythm action dungeon crawler about your mom's antique jar collection. Who knows? You could even make a board game, an escape room, or any other kind of playful activity that you can think of. As long as your game is about a non-fictional older adult that meaningfully impacted your life, anything really goes. I just have one small personal recommendation here, and that's, while this is entirely optional, I would really like to encourage everyone to try to involve their hidden hero in the process in some way. Maybe just get on a Zoom call with them or use a phone if that's something people still use these days, and ask them to tell the stories that made you pick them. If you record these stories, they can be very useful to build your game around. And I promise that having that conversation can really help to make sure that they are given a voice in your game. Heck, maybe you can even include them in the development team as well. So including your hidden hero in any way is completely optional, but if it's at all possible, I would really recommend to try to make it happen. And with that out of the way, let's discuss some really quick details a bit and help you get on your way. So the jam is going to kick off next Friday, and it's going to run through March 5th. There's a lot of days that you can jam, but you're allowed to jam on as many of those days as you like. The jam itself is online. And it runs over the IndieCade Discord server in itch.io, which you should already have access to. But if you haven't, you can join it through the link that you can see on the slide right now. And on there, you'll also find the Hidden Heroes Jam category, where you'll have far more information than you might even need. It even includes the channel to make teams if you don't have one already, and there's a channel for help as well. Speaking of which, HiddenHeroesJam.com has a lot of additional information of how to participate in the jam, from advice on how to make games if you've never done so before, as you see on the slide right now, to advice on how to talk to your hidden hero to include them in your game development process. The site really offers a lot of tips and tricks so that hopefully you can submit a great game at the end of the jam. Speaking of submitting great games, if you do so, you'll be eligible to win some very cool awards and prizes. Awards, you say? Yeah. We are holding a jam-wide vote for the top games in categories such as favorite game, best engagement with the theme, and so on throughout the jam, and we'll reveal the final categories for those next week, so stay tuned. Teams that will end up winning awards will also receive special prizes, including portfolio reviews and mentoring. However, even if you do not end up winning anything at all, you'll still be entered in a raffle so that every game has a shot at those prizes. Quick disclaimer though, the actual prizes are limited to IndieCade Horizons participants, but you only need one Horizon participant on your team to be eligible. Finally, Northeastern University would love to learn more about how you went about making your hidden hero game, as we believe that these kinds of games can make a huge difference in making the world a better place. It promotes intergenerational connectedness and looking at the world through somebody else's experiences and perspectives, which I would personally say are two things that we can really use a little bit more of nowadays. So we are hoping that you will sign up for the research project that we're organizing during and in the weeks after the jam. The research consists of a brief interview, and in return, we'll give you a $20 Amazon gift card. And that's pretty much all there is from me. I hope you'll join me in IndieCade in sharing the unsung stories of your own older family members and close friends that meaningfully impacted your lives through these games. Let's make some hidden hero games.